Hey everyone, welcome back to the District 3 podcast. My name is Irvin.
This is Elena.
And Miggs.
All three of us are here.
Again.
What? What's going on? It must be a full moon or something because we're all here. And we also have another co-host. Elena,
yes, we have little Zuri. Hopefully she will sleep the entire time.
You might hear her in the background.
Yeah,
usually whenever we have one of your babies here, you'll hear them in the background kind of.
Yeah, Zuri does like to
yapping.
talk too. She's a social butterfly.
Yapping a little bit. We're here at the Fayetteville Public Library recording. We're actually doing multiple episodes in one day on this day. A little bit of info behind the curtain.
Thanks for revealing the secret.
Miggs, you're the one that reveals most of our secrets on the air, so it's not a surprise to anyone.
I mean, did you ever see like Jimmy Fallon be like, "Hey, we're recording 2 episodes today, one for Thursday and one for Friday"?
Do they do that? Do they do that sometimes? I know they do. Like
they do it for Thursday, for Friday episode. Nobody comes in on Friday.
The thing that tripped me out is that they do a Tonight Show at like 3 p.m.
Yeah, I used to go to those TV recordings for like high school stuff.
Oh, really? Oh, when you were in LA?
Yeah, like the way we fundraised for like our band and stuff was to go watch TV recordings.
Ah, so you saw like Jay Leno?
No, I did see Wayne Brady. I was one of the nighttime hosts. I forgot. I got to see Mad TV. I got to see a couple of sitcoms being recorded too. A lot of those like game shows like that weren't like they're not too popular, but they need an audience. Like I forgot what it was, but like where they compete against each other for money. Yeah. Anyway, I've done a few of those. Yeah.
Like the Price is Right.
Yeah, I always wanted to be one of those. What do you call those guys? The hype man, the guys that are there who are kind of leading everybody.
Like applause.
Yeah, there's usually a guy leading the applause, like in the audience. You know.
I want to go to one of those.
But they usually start up with like a stand up bit too. They're like, "Hey, my name is whoever," and then they give you a little joke or two to like
warm up the crowd a little bit. That's cool. I've always wanted to go to one of those shows. Hopefully the next time we go to New York or Los Angeles. Do you have to get tickets for those like way ahead of time?
Not really. Usually they're trying to give them away, depending on which show you go to. Like there are shows that like you're gonna like. Jimmy Kimmel. I saw a lot back in the day, but most of the time we would get tickets to go see the concerts that used to be held outside, and when you didn't get in, there was a parking lot right next to it, and you could like still see the performance from like the top deck of the parking lot.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. Hopefully, in the next few months, we get to go to one of those when we go to Los Angeles.
But yeah, no, you can,
definitely
the week before, look it up, you'll probably get some.
Okie dokie. Well, we're glad to be joined by our guest today. He's a longtime friend of mine. I think this might be your second or third time on the podcast. Maybe third.
Second or third.
We have immigration attorney Nathan Bogart here with us. Nathan, thank you for joining us today.
No, thanks for having me.
Appreciate you being here. You have a podcast too now.
I do.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, what's the name? Where can people find it? And what are you talking about on there?
It's a brand new podcast. We just started it. I think we're about 5 or 6 episodes in. And we just talk about immigration law or anything else, just kind of try and break down what the law means to people, what we're seeing as immigration professionals. My partner, my co-host, Itzi Castorena, she's one of the legal assistants at our firm. So we kind of try and give that dual perspective. So a lot of people, they just want to talk to the attorney and know what the attorney thinks about things. But, what we're also trying to show is just how important every position within a law firm is and exactly what role everyone plays and how that can be really key to how somebody's case turns out. And so she brings a very different perspective to immigration law than I do. And so we just kind of talk about news. We usually have a theme of the week. So this last episode, we talked about asylum, and we just kind of went into detail, tried to, I guess, get rid of some myths, talk about how the process works, and just hopefully help people be a little bit less afraid of dealing with those situations.
What I would like to see on there is almost like the history part of like even like the Chinese Inclusion Act and like the Japanese, like and that would be pretty cool.
It would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
It would be have to be several episodes.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
No, the history of immigration law in the United States is insane.
Yeah,
it's just absolutely insane. But
and
it's
we're
also
living
really
through
important.
it right now.
Yeah, we are.
Mm-hmm.
This is another key point. But it's especially important because I think part of the reason things are so insane today is because never in our history have we ever actually tried to like rectify the situation or create a system that actually works for everybody who has to participate, from immigrants to the communities and families and individuals who depend on immigrants to the just society as a whole. We've never really sat down and asked that question. How do we want this to work? It's always just been about, who do we keep out? Like I said.
I'm glad you're doing your own podcast on that issue, because even myself, as I consider myself somewhat of a immigration community expert per se, just the legal side of it is a whole other animal. And even when I'm doing content, sometimes I'll text you and I'll be like, hey, or when I'm going to speak somewhere, I'll be like, hey, just want to make sure this is right before I even say it. Act 654 does say this, does mean this and that. Yeah, I still don't feel 100% confident in what I say. So I'm glad that you're an experienced, knowledgeable person that's out there talking about things and talking about facts.
I'm glad I'm not doing these speeches, because I'll be 100% confident about something that's totally wrong.
Hey, confidence
Act
is
69:24 says,
if you can act confident, like, people will believe you. Look at Trump. He's confident in what he says, and people believe them. Yeah. But do you think about that? Like, do you when you're talking about anything on that podcast or even on TikTok, about being like, man, everything I say needs to be 100% like true. Like, I can't even like say something if I'm not 100% sure that this is actually the most updated information on this subject.
It stresses me the hell out, especially these days, because everything's changing constantly. Mm-hmm. In fact, I think at virtually every one of our episodes so far, we put a disclaimer out that, hey, we're recording this on Thursday. It's going to go to air on Monday. Everything we just said might be complete and total, just completely and totally false by the time.
By the way, we are recording this episode Wednesday November 5th. I don't know when it's going to come out, but
say the seconds too, please.
It's 2:30 right now.
Okay, because we were thinking about this before we started recording today. We were like, should we put this episode next week or the week after? Because the week after, whatever we're saying now might actually not even be legit by that time. We
don't know. I mean, like, everything's
you're going
changing
first, so Dodgers just won.
Actually, yesterday was election day.
That's true.
And there was a lot of blue seats everywhere.
Virginia, New York,
and some smaller
New
stuff.
Jersey.
I had a friend run for school board out in a small town in Massachusetts, and she won. She's Hispanic, and she leads the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce out there. She was not expecting to win, and she won. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Is that like surprising though? I feel like every 8 years usually, like the people that were mad vote the most. So,
but this one kind of shifted kind of faster though when you think about it, because I mean we're what, like 1 year into the Trump administration?
Not even.
It's only been 1 year. I thought this was a midterm, bro.
No, it's only been 1 year. It's only been. By the way, Nathan, you can cuss on this podcast if you want.
Okay, good.
That's good. Nathan's been cussing a lot more lately. Whenever I speak with him,
I used to be, especially as an attorney, I tried to be real like buttoned up, be professional in the way I speak. When I started my career, I was wearing suits and ties, and like I just don't care anymore. I mean, there's way bigger problems out there. I'll wear a suit to court. Otherwise, you'll never see
flip flops.
Otherwise, shorts and flip flops.
Hey, whatever. And then the other day when I saw you at the Day of the Dead, the Dia de Muertos event, you had like a hoodie and like and I was like, I can't
incognito mode.
I can't tell if you were in incognito mode or if you were just trying to be like super comfortable, because it looked like a super comfortable fit.
Yeah.
Well, first and foremost, it's always comfort.
Okay,
that's the most important thing for me when it comes to wearing anything.
That's good.
But yeah, I mean, at something like that, it would be great if I'm not having to answer a whole bunch of legal questions during the middle of the event when I'm there with my family.
That's
yeah.
Did were you there for a good minute, or were you there for like yourself, or were you tabling?
No, we weren't tabling. We were there for, I don't know, good hour and a half or so.
Okay.
In the afternoon. I think we got there on 1:30, stayed till, I don't know, about 3. Actually, I might have that totally wrong. We got there about 3 and left about 4:30. Not that the times matter. And I was there with my wife and kids and a couple friends.
Okay. And I've noticed that your team has expanded. Like, it's getting pretty big now.
Yeah.
Like, it's even way bigger than what it was a year or 2 years ago.
Yes.
And what is the reasoning for, like, is it just that you'll have a really good amount of clients, or are y'all trying to just do more? What is the reasoning for like a larger team?
It's a combo of factors. One of it is because we have been getting more clients, especially the last 10 months, probably for some obvious reasons. The biggest reason on that end, to be honest with you, is just when we went through Trump 1.0, and I don't think I'm going to be surprising anybody's immigration attorney, but I have no love for him or his policies on the issue of immigration or immigration law in any way, shape, or form. There's just nothing that positive that I can say about him or his beliefs on that subject. We were a really small operation at the time. The first, good 2 years, I was really the only immigration attorney in my firm. And I was doing kind of everything having to do with immigration law. So like deportation issues, but also helping people fill out, petitions for their family members or humanitarian benefits or whatever. And when everything shut down in the pandemic, I was just thinking to myself, I was like, if I have to go through another 4 years of this, at that point I'm thinking, 2021 to 2025, but I'm just thinking if I ever have to go through this, I'm not doing it this way again. Like we're going to get bigger. And so last year, as we got closer to the election, we started adding immigration attorneys and just kind of hoped that the clients would follow. And then they did. And this year has created so much panic that, and so many people are finding themselves detained. So we did have to add more attorneys as well. So we have 11 attorneys now.
Wow.
Yeah. But the second reason we grew is just to diversify the practice a bit. Kind of going back to the pandemic again. I think we realized the value in having more than one practice area, but I'm not a real big believer in, as an attorney handling multiple practice areas. In fact, if anything, I'd like to get even more focused in terms of what I do. I just think it for the most part, creates better quality representation and better quality results. So, but during the pandemic, I did learn that, having multiple practice areas would just help us out in times of stress.
So like if someone gets detained, usually we tell them they have to go to an immigration attorney and to a criminal attorney. Y'all offer all of that, right?
We do.
So they don't have to like look at some other firm as well, along with trying to contact you.
Exactly. Yeah. So in 2019, the first practice area we added, aside from immigration, even before I added another immigration attorney, was criminal defense. Because just the way ICE operates in communities, they work closely with the police at all levels, state, county, local. And so, by having a criminal defense attorney, that helped us pair up a little bit easier. So my law partner, Charles C. Small, she was my first partner, and she still is. And she does criminal work, and we've added 2 additional criminal defense attorneys as well.
Wow. I'm always constantly sending people to you. I try my best to try to also share the love and send some over to other people too.
Oh,
but for me, it's easy to send them to you. One, because I know that you have different attorneys that like people don't have to go to you and then go to someone else, So sometimes it's lazy of me to just be like, just go with Nathan. Here's the info. And then if it's an urgent situation, like something that we need immediate help with, like you've told me before we started recording, I just reach out to you, and you're very gracious to answer any kind of question that I might have. What are some of the things that you're hearing from people that are hiring you now that might be a little bit different than what you've heard like 10 months prior? Like what are you hearing the most of people coming to you needing support for?
So, first and foremost, deportation obviously has always been a thing. We've had that at least since the first immigration laws were passed in the 1880s, probably before, but I'm not an expert on that. And so there's always been a certain level of panic when somebody's running the risk of losing, their parent or their child or a sibling or their spouse. I think now the panic's gotten a lot higher, and part of that is just because of the cruelty associated with how ICE is operating, and also just how quickly they will take people into custody and essentially disappear them. And so there's a lot of confusion in terms of, okay, my loved one's been detained, what do I do? So I feel like, before even getting to like a legal analysis or talking about how things have changed, I definitely feel a lot more panic and anxiety from the people I talk to.
Mm. And I also feel, just by knowing you, that you've also kind of gotten to a point where you're just tired of the BS and you're just kind of even more outspoken than you have been before, and just very blunt, with everything going on.
Yeah.
With you hearing all that information from people on a daily basis, hearing people's stories, trying to help them out and stuff, like, how do you balance yourself to not like go crazy? Because I get stressed out because I get messages every day from people with different things, and I can't help everyone.
Right.
And maybe you can't help everyone either. But like, how do you balance that? Like, what do you do to just kind of stay sane and but still help people the best you can, best way you can?
I mean, you've hit the nail on the head. I mean, if you can't help everyone, I certainly can't. You have much broader reach than I do. And, I know I can't. But, who says I do handle it well? I really kind of don't. And I think that's okay. I think we all kind of go through different seasons of life, and you have to have a little bit of grace and patience with yourself. But, I try. I mean, some of those are business-oriented things like adding more attorneys, or unfortunately having to charge more because that screens people out. I mean, that can sometimes be a limiting factor, and I don't love doing that because I kind of like the fight. I didn't go into law school wanting to be involved in litigation, but I've been doing it now for 15 years, and I've kind of come to the point where I actually really do enjoy it.
Yeah.
Or at least I did before this year.
I mean, you're one of our most volunteered attorneys at our events. You and Drew.
Yeah.
Constantly been showing up at our stuff and helping us out for free. So
yeah.
We appreciate that.
No, I mean, I really sincerely do love what I do. And so I don't want to tell people no, and I don't want to make the prices unreachable for people. But for my own mental health, to be honest with you, sometimes I've had to do that at different points in my career, just raise the prices and hope that it decreases demand a little bit.
But then I'm over here still sending you like 5 people every week. Right?
Right.
Any immigration attorney, Nathan. Go to Nathan.
And sometimes we deviate from those higher prices because there's a case that just really tugs at your heartstrings, or you feel like, there's a compelling reason to not charge too much on that case. And then you find yourself kicking yourself after that because, now you've got to do insane amounts of work. But the other thing is just trying to find balance with my family. My wife and kids are real gracious with me and give me the space I need to do my job, but they're always there for me as well to go do things. Like I have every Tuesday night I go play basketball with my son. We go participate in a pickup game at a local church. And my wife and I always try and go out and hang out and do things on the weekends. So you just do those things. And, of course, I try and start my day just going and exercising for a good hour and a half before I even start thinking about what's going on.
That's good to do. I try to do that, too, every morning, like when I wake up, which is usually like 8 o'clock. And I'll go straight to the gym. And then I have my app open. Not my app open, but I have my notifications on for communication of like ICE activity and stuff. But I try my best not to reply, even if it like is tugging my heartstrings. I'm like, no, I have to have this 1 hour for myself. Then when I get out of the gym, then I'm like, okay, I can go ahead and answer now. But that's so important to have that time for yourself, right?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, I know I probably don't seem like it because I'm always on social media, and like you said, I started this podcast. I'm a lawyer, so I'm always in court or speaking to groups of people. But I'm beyond introverted. So I really have to have those moments where I can sit back and just really recharge my battery, even like completely by myself, sometimes even away from the people closest to me. I just have to have that time where I can focus just on something really simple like, counting to 10 while I'm lifting weights or something. And just that's how I recharge my batteries.
That makes sense.
Nathan, you kind of spoke about the cruelty that's been seen in ICE. And I think many people have ran into a video or 3 of, just really horrific acts being taken. And yet some people can be really far removed from those situations or even knowing anyone who could be put in that type of situation. Are there any any events or ways that people can get involved and really get to know their neighbor and like make those connections if they're kind of wanting that?
Yeah, I mean, I think y'all would be the experts on that. I mean, IDA is a great organization. I know it's mainly limited to, immigrants and children of immigrants and those communities, but I know there's events y'all do with allies and other people who want to get involved. Certainly, there's different community organizations, I think, out there that are trying to get people a little bit more up to date as to what is going on with immigration. I've been asked to go speak at some different events this year, different churches especially, and just kind of talk about what's going on.
Yeah.
I've been invited on a couple other podcasts as well to talk about it. So there's a lot of good information out there. But really, I don't know how you can watch those videos and not feel something. I mean, even if you view immigrants as, the quote unquote other, I mean, just seeing a human being being treated like that. And of course, some of these videos aren't even immigrants. They're U.S. citizens. They're children. They're elderly. And you see some of these crazy things ICE are doing, like hitting people's cars and just yanking their, concussed bodies out of the driver's seat and throwing them on the ground and punching them. I mean, just like crazy things. I don't know how you could view somebody doing that to a human being and not feel something. That's just beyond me.
I was out with these two, actually, Irvin and Elena, the other day, and we were just chilling outside. It was in downtown Springdale, so people are gonna come up and try to talk to Irvin. Yeah, but they were talking about immigration, and they were having this event because Dia del Muerto was just passed, and they were wondering about their event and what the likelihood of ICE being present, showing up or whatever, and first of all, that's pretty messed up just to begin with. Like, oh, there's something going on this Friday. Hold on, is the police gonna be there? Anyway. So that was pretty messed up that they were even thinking about that just because they're guests. But Irvin was like, oh no, actually in Arkansas it's been pretty mild, and they haven't no se han pasando de verga pues, they've been
showing up to events per se.
Yeah. And then I got curious, and then I was like, well, who are they taking? Is it just people that are speeding or doing something minor like that? And then Irvin responded, no, they're pulling people over. And I was like, well, you have to have a reason on the ticket why you got pulled over. And Irvin's like, no, they're leaving that part blank. And then that's when I got shocked, because at first I thought that Arkansas, when you were saying it, I thought, okay, maybe they're taking it easy and only pulling people over that are speeding or whatever. And and that sucks. But I mean, it's a reason. But if they're just pulling people over because they look a certain way,
well, look at the Washington County website. We go to the inmate roster and see the people what their charges are. It's just as ICE hold.
Do they have no charge? Well, that's pretty messed up, because I mean, that means either one of us could get pulled over. Actually, I think I might have got pulled over, but I passed the test.
It's like your Dodgers hat, right? From the U.S.
Okay, just get out of here. All right, I will.
But yeah, it's like that, right? It's like people, and whenever I would talk about this early on in the year, it almost felt like I was people thought that I was trying to fearmonger in regards to ICE being in the community and stuff. And then it took a few months, and then the same people that thought I was fearmongering were saying stuff like, everyone needs to know their rights. Yes, we've been saying that from the beginning. Does it help? Does it save everyone to know your rights? No. They're going to take some people that are going to know their rights, and they're going to force them out of their car, break into their house, all these different things. But we've still seen people be saved from family separation because they knew their rights, right?
Yeah, we definitely have, and we've had some success this year litigating against the equivalent of prosecutors and immigration court, the ICE trial attorneys, because people kept the most basic rights, like keeping their mouth shut, not saying anything, which is by far the most fundamental right that everybody needs to understand and internalize. Shut your mouth. Yeah. I don't mean to be rude and blunt about it. No. It's
F this mother. No,
yeah. But it's true. I mean, we've had people, who, are lawful permanent residents, for example, who've been accused of being deportable because of their criminal history.
Mm-hmm.
And that burden of proof is on ICE. And so our clients have been smart. They've kept their mouth shut. They haven't admitted to their alleged criminal history.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they get down to Louisiana and they start having their court hearings, ICE, for whatever reason, isn't able to, present certified copies of their criminal history. And so eventually the judges just dismiss the case because ICE can't meet their burden of proof.
Mm-hmm.
And, if the clients have been running their mouths, admitting things, that might have been enough.
Mm-hmm.
Probably wouldn't have been, but it definitely would have made the situation a lot more difficult because, if they're saying, oh, yeah, I was convicted of, domestic battery and Rogers on this date in 2020, well, now it's real easy for ICE to go look that up and try and find it. And so, it's so important to understand those basic rights. But you're also right, it's not going to save everybody. The way those rights have kind of been interpreted over the centuries since the Constitution was passed in the 18th century have overwhelmingly been in favor of the government over the years. So they're not necessarily going to protect you every time.
Yeah,
I met somebody here recently. It was like at an after or something, but we were hanging out and I was like, oh dude, so like, well, what's up? He's like, well, like, what are you? And he's like, he was like, I'm Mexican, and I thought he was something else. He's like, no, bro. Like, he's like, I'm so Mexican that pretty much that I couldn't convince ICE that I was American, so they held me for, I forgot, like 100 days or something, and I was like, haha, that's funny. And then later on, I was like, is that true? And he was like, no, man, like I'm serious. He's like, they took me down to Louisiana, and once they found out that I was a permanent resident, they finally let me go, and blah blah blah. But he was held for 100 days. I was like, damn.
One of the things I hate when I read news article comments from like racist people, they'll always be like, oh, he got detained, but he was a U.S. citizen. Like, well, he was released then, right? Like, they make it sound like as if it's still okay to be stopped. Like, it's not okay to just be stopped because of how you look, right? But some people are saying like, oh, well, if he does things the right way, he'll just be stopped and then let go, and then he can just go about his day. He just has to answer the police officer whatever he asks. Mm-hmm. Like, no, it's not okay to just be stopped. Like that video that we saw that happened on Robinson Avenue in Springdale where that family was stopped, and the ICE officer called the two kids in the back illegal aliens, telling the parents that they were harboring illegal aliens. Like, that's not okay. It doesn't matter if they let them go because they realized they were U.S. citizens. And I hate that a lot of like the, I would say, racist, population tries to justify that.
Yeah, and not even just random racists on Facebook or Instagram.
You ever fight with us in the comments, Nathan?
No, I stay as far away as I possibly can.
I've been pulling up on them lately on the comments.
More power to you. I think that is a noble cause.
I got one a year. Like, I'll pop up. There'll be one day where I'll be like, I got time for you today. Like, I'm off. I'll dedicate 4 hours going back and forth with you. Like, there was one yesterday where this one person put something, and like they put like 3 sentences and they didn't make sense. Like the grammar was horrible. Yeah. And I commented, I was like, I almost got a brain aneurysm reading this comment. And they got like 15 likes, and then the person replied back to me, and I replied back to them, and we went back and forth. And I was like, today I have time for this, but I try my best not to.
Well, by all means, do it. I mean, someone has to. But that person is not going to be me.
Usually it's my white friends. My white friends will step up and like shout out to my friend Nicole Mazzoni. I see her flaming people in the comments.
She's
sometimes.
all over the place.
Flaming people in the comments. But it is not good for your mental health to do that.
No, it's not. But it's not even just them. I mean, like I think it was Justice Kavanaugh, which he's probably racist too, I guess. But in that decision at the beginning of the summer over racial profiling in California, he basically described the possibility of a U.S. citizen being profiled as like a minor inconvenience, and it's like, it's not a minor inconvenience to go to Louisiana for 100 days, or to, have your car stop with your kids in there and everyone's terrified.
Dude, maybe even if it was only like a day, like I just wasted a whole day.
A whole day.
Yeah. I mean, you're getting a speeding ticket. You're like, hurry up, like.
And if you lose your job for that one day where you didn't show up to work.
You didn't pay rent.
Because they took you.
Yeah. What if you're an hourly employee or you work for yourself or whatever, and now you've just lost a whole day's worth of work.
What are some of
well, the thing is, it's racist because they're only going after like the brown people. I mean, there are white like immigrants too, but they're not getting profiled and stopped.
For real.
Yeah.
What would you say are like some? I mean, obviously we don't have the time to do a whole Know Your Rights presentation right now, but what are some of the key things that you tell people that they should know to avoid being taken by ICE when they're in their house, when they're driving? I think we'll just start with those two. What are some key things that you said the shut your mouth thing. I think that's important.
That's
right?
all. That's obviously rule number one. Shut your mouth. But if ICE or any law enforcement agency comes to your house, you don't need to open the door. You can talk to them through the window.
You can treat them like a Mormon.
Yeah.
Like a Jehovah's Witness when they come.
Yeah.
Like us Latinos, we were like Jehovah's Witnesses whenever we were kids. Like our parents would tell us. Nowadays, I open the door and I talk to everyone. I love the Mormon people that come to my house too.
I better have a phone call now. Opening that door.
But like the Jehovah's Witnesses, our parents would be like, close the blinds, get behind the door, don't say anything. And I'm like thinking of that as an adult. I'm like, why do we do that? Like, I could have talked to them. Like they're just taking a few minutes of our time. Like it's fine, right? But nowadays we can do that with ICE, right? Like it's like they have to present a warrant or we don't open the door.
You're so nice.
You don't do that? You don't like opening the door?
I totally just hide when someone's knocking on my door. I'm just like, nope, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, my mom would have us go up there and be like, yeah, tell them your parents aren't home. My mom's not here. My mom told me she's not here.
I love going, like when I would canvass a Marshallese family because they're just so nice.
Yeah.
Like you'll go knock on a door and a little 3-year-old in a diaper will open the door and tell you to come in, and you're just kind of like, I ain't coming in. This is weird. And then you'll hear the parents in the room. They'll be like, come in. And you walk all the way through the house. Like the parents are on the ground, like sleeping. And they're like, what do you want? And I'm like, you just open the door like that? We should not be doing this, especially right now.
No. And so, that's rule number 2. Don't do that.
Yeah.
You don't even have to open the door, but you can speak through the door. You can speak through a window. You can have them pass whatever warrant they claim to have underneath the door through a window, inspect it, make sure it's an actual judicial warrant signed by a judge with letterhead from an actual court as opposed to an ICE administrative arrest warrant that would say U.S. Department of Homeland Security on it and is signed by an ICE supervisory agent as opposed to a judge. Those two things alone are probably, if all my clients did those two things, I'd probably be pretty happy. But there's obviously a lot more you can do beyond that.
And that's why, it's important to be doing the work that we're doing alongside you of doing these Know Your Rights forums. We just did one, what was it, like a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago in St. Raphael Catholic Church. And as you can tell by the turnout, like it was a good amount of people, but people are still scared to come out to those.
They are.
And I understand, even though we told people, first of all, it's at St. Raphael. That's a safe place for the most part, one of the most safest places in the area. And then we also had security, and then, we're also a safe organization. But even then, we didn't have the huge turnout that we thought we could have. But we knew that there was a possibility that we wouldn't have that because of fear. Right. People just get out of mass and they want to go directly home.
Yeah, in years past when we've done Know Your Rights presentations, I feel like we've had pretty large turnouts. Mm-hmm. And I feel like for the most part, almost all year this year, it's been, like you said, still decent turnouts, but in comparison to years past, the numbers have been a little bit lower. Mm-hmm. And I've heard chatter from people I've talked to about, just being afraid to go out to those things. Mm-hmm. And I get it.
Which makes sense with all the ICE activity and stuff that we're seeing on a daily basis. I did want to talk about Act 654, which I think that's the right number. I always get it confused. But the law that forces every sheriff's office in the state of Arkansas to sign up to one of the 287G programs. And there's 3 different models. There's the task force model, which is the most dangerous one.
Yep.
Do you mind explaining a little bit about what the task force model is?
Yeah, of course. So the task force model is, like you said, the highest degree of cooperation that local law enforcement can have from ICE. And that's where you actually have officers within your organization who are deputized to act essentially as ICE officers. And they work alongside ICE officers as they're going out doing their thing.
And then there's the jail enforcement model?
Jail enforcement model, which is where you will have, again, deputized officers within the jails who can serve arrest warrants and hold on to individuals in order to allow ICE agents to come in and pick them up, and just increase greater cooperation between that jail and ICE.
And as community organizers, the one that we prefer for people to sign up for, if you're going to sign up to one, is the warrant service model. Can you explain that one?
Yeah, so warrant service model is the one that scares people the least. It probably shouldn't be that way, because that's what leads to so many detentions, right? Because ICE can, probably one of the reasons, like you're saying, like you don't see some of the crazy things here that you're seeing in Chicago or Portland or LA and these places, is that in Arkansas, every single sheriff's department that manages a county jail, per Act 654 is required to at least participate in this warrant service officer model of 287G with ICE. And so what that basically means is that you're going to have somebody in the jail who can serve ICE warrants, and that jail can hold individuals, for ICE. And so what'll happen is, for example, in Washington County, we have I believe it's just a warrant service officer model, but we also have an extended, contract with the federal, with the federal government to hold people. And so even if you have a police department like Fayetteville or Springdale who have not entered into any type of formal agreement with ICE, if they make an arrest, that person's going to go to the jail because there isn't, a jail managed by the city of Fayetteville. And then when that person goes to Washington County Jail, who's there waiting for him, right? They have a warrant service officer, and they're going to make sure there's a hold placed, and then ICE is going to come for them as soon as they're ready to get them.
Now, didn't they do that beforehand?
They did, yeah. In Washington County and Benton County, both, they've historically had relatively close working relationships with ICE over the years.
So, like in LA, they don't have that cooperation?
There's always some degree of cooperation. Let's get that clear, right? So, and that's one of the biggest myths with 287G. It's like, well, if you don't have 287G, you're a sanctuary city, and so you don't cooperate with ICE. That's not true. There's always collaboration between federal and state and county and local police departments, and there always has been.
Washington County, when they ended 287G a few years back, they still had the SCAT program. So
still had SCAT. ICE is still notified when a foreign national is arrested. They can still place a hold, and that can be done even in sanctuary cities. It's been a long time, so don't ask me all the details. But when I worked in Dallas, we filed a lawsuit against Dallas for having held somebody in their jail for like 50 days when they had for an ICE hold, which of course should have only expired at 48 hours. And Dallas was considered a sanctuary community at the time. So you still have that level of cooperation for sure. But in Arkansas now, it's mandated by the state. And so every single sheriff's department is participating it so long as they manage a county jail.
I try to stay away from all that footage online, try to keep positive. But at the beginning of this whole ordeal, when, ICE just started coming in hard, especially to like LA, and I guess that was the big thing, because I remember watching videos of like people cheering when the LAPD would come, and the LAPD would like escort ICE out, and there's people on the streets like cheering for the LAPD, which to me was like, whoa, that's a big change, I mean, cheering the police because they're taking out even worse police. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Positive reinforcement. Hope that
not the
continues.
LAPD being the heroes.
No, that's not.
Hey man, LAPD to me was always cool, man. They didn't give a crap about stupid shit like they do here. Anyway.
That makes sense. I think here specifically, the National Guard has signed up for the task force model.
Yes.
But it's still pending approval.
It's still pending approval, and the state police has signed up for the task force model, and it has been approved. Now,
I wonder why they're taking a while
with
the National Guard.
I don't know. I would think that given how the Trump administration is acting with regards to the military and the National Guard generally, that would have been approved like before they submitted the application. But yeah, that's still pending. But we definitely have other task force models throughout the state. Baxter
Some
County has
random.
one. Yeah, random ones. Baxter County has one. I think Craighead County has one. The town of Hampton has one. A bunch of them in Southwest Arkansas have them.
Some have taken back their 287G.
Yes, Batesville took one back.
They're like, let's look at the details first, and then we'll come
Right.
back and evaluate what we want to do.
Right.
But then, I think here in Northwest Arkansas, Bend County has the jail enforcement model.
They do.
And Washington County has the warrant service model, like you said.
Plus SCAT.
But you said that there's already kind of, you know how like Trump ordered the National Guard to go to several states to assist ICE with like office things and like transportation. You say that you think that they're already active here helping out in that way?
Yeah, I can't remember if it was late August or early September. This whole year feels like it's just like one really long day, but also like 15 years at the same time. Governor Sanders announced that she was going to deploy 40 guardsmen to Little Rock, Fort Smith, and Fayetteville. And it's not just that they're the three biggest cities in the state. I mean, those are three of the four cities that have an ICE field office located there. So we don't know all the details about that, but I think her decision to deploy them, you don't need a task force model to do that because, technically the governor is in charge of the National Guard. We don't go to the Fayetteville ICE field office so much anymore, but I've had to go a couple of times since the deployment, and I've seen individuals who I do not recognize. Now, they're not wearing like fatigues, but like they're like young dudes
civilian dressed,
civilian dress with military style haircuts. So
cut.
They could be new ICE agents that I've just not met before, but I just that caught my eye after her announcement.
I do have a question about ICE. Do they need to? Can they cover their face in the state of Arkansas?
It's not being litigated in Arkansas. It's being litigated in other parts of the country. I don't know the answer to that question off the top of my head. I mean, my best guess is I'm sure someone make a pretty solid legal argument that they can. But I think there's probably solid arguments, legal and otherwise, that they shouldn't. For no other reason, just because of identification. I mean, when law enforcement officers are out in the field acting in their capacity as law enforcement officers, you should be able to tell that they're a law enforcement officer. ICE agents aren't technically police officers because they're not enforcing a criminal code. They're enforcing a civil code, despite the fact that it's completely criminalized. They're not technically police officers, but they are law enforcement officers, and I would expect that if they're going to be out in the communities that you should be able to tell who they are. And the fact of the matter is you can't tell the difference between them and another federal agent, in part because of these masks, but you also can't tell the difference between them and bounty hunters or some random asshole who decided to strap a gun to his hip and put on a bulletproof vest and run around and wreak havoc in the community.
Yeah.
I think that's the scary part, the fact that you just don't know.
And like they've been driving in marked vehicles that are not marked for ICE.
Right.
Which makes it even scarier. I mean, anyone could be like, well, no, I don't know who you are. Like, and I don't know.
Yeah, and activists have done a great job of like documenting some of the cars they use, and I think that's been effective at getting word out, not just to people who are afraid of interactions with ICE, but also to other spotters who are out looking for ICE activity. I thought that was actually a real brilliant thing that a lot of groups have done, which is kind of get a good list of what kind of vehicles they're using. But they're very frequently, I think I saw on one Facebook group today, one that had like a realtor's like advertisement on the side, as if it was just like some random realtor's car, and a lot of them will have like California license plates or no plates, and it's just like a little random little Ford or some other car that they're driving around.
So if you do is ICE pulling people over, or is it the police and then ICE comes?
Both.
Okay. So if ICE pulls you over and then they pull up to your window and they're all masked up and doing whatever, looking like a militia, am I allowed to be like, oh, fuck this, and then just drive away?
I would. That's a tough one, right?
It's a really tough one.
Because if you're in Springdale, you can.
I'm not. This guy is fucking masked. Hell no.
If you're in Springdale, technically you can call the Springdale Police Department and they'll come and verify if it's ICE or not.
Yeah.
But if you're in other places like Tontitown, I mean,
who knows?
I don't think Nathan's going to tell you on this recorded podcast that you should drive away. But
no, because there's practical reasons as well, right? I mean, like if you've got some big dude with a gun and a mask, you know, I would probably err on the side of calling the police. I'm also a white guy, you know, who's, I mean, I would feel threatened regardless of my skin color if somebody just stopped me with a gun and a bulletproof vest wearing a mask, right? Especially with all the mass shootings and things that we get nowadays. But, you know, I think that calling the police, especially like even said in Springdale, where we know that they're going to respond, would probably be the most, it would be the best advice that you could give.
Even though I've seen people on TikTok drive away.
Yeah, they have.
I've seen people also like bicycle away as well.
Yeah.
from ICE trying to distract ICE so they don't go after undocumented people.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a tough situation. So for folks that need your kind of legal representation, Nathan, do you know your number by memory, by the way?
I do.
Number? What's your office number? So in case anybody needs immigration support, they can reach out to you.
It's 479-957-9819. And we're just here in Fayetteville. We have two, actually, I always say we're just here in Fayetteville. We have two offices, one in Rogers.
Now, Nathan.
Yeah. Our principal office is in Fayetteville at the intersection of Joyce and Crossover. And then we have one off First Street in downtown Rogers as well.
Where can people follow you on TikTok? You know your TikTok username?
I think it's just my name.
Okay.
So I was pretty lazy when I made that one up.
If you actually were able to get your name, that's a good thing.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Just look up Nathan Bogart.
Yeah, just look up Nathan Bogart on TikTok. Same thing on Instagram and Facebook, but my law firm is Bogart Small and Dual, and we also have pages on Facebook and Instagram, and not TikTok, though. I guess technically our firm page on TikTok is my page.
Okay. And the podcast, once again, where can people find the podcast, and what's it called again?
Yeah, so it's Voces Sin Fronteras, and we're all over. We're on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube. We have a Facebook page. Like I said, we're kind of rolling it out slowly, just kind of trying to build an audience and get used to doing it. Mm-hmm. It's not something I've really got experience with. So we've got a great editor. And he's way better on the microphone than I am. So it's entertaining. So.
You're always bringing yourself down, Nathan. You're good at what you do. You do a really good job at explaining just all these different complicated immigration stuff. And I know you tell me sometimes that it's even sometimes complicated for you, but it's even more complicated for us average Joes to talk about immigration. And I worry, and I want to make sure that everything I say is factual. So thank you for being a fountain of education whenever I need it for anything that's going on right now.
No, of course. Yeah. I mean, but it's true. I mean, even immigration attorneys, one of the things a lot of people don't know is pretty much all the immigration attorneys in the area are friends. Mm-hmm. In fact, we meet up pretty regularly and talk about this stuff. A lot of us have a text chain that we participate in on the daily, and and just kind of commiserate about all the just insanity that's going on out there. And yeah, I mean, we don't really always know what's going on. This has been the hardest time of my career, aside from, maybe the first 6 months I was an attorney, when it's come to being able to answer people's questions. Because I feel like I'm telling somebody something, and then tomorrow it's completely false.
Well, is that legal? I don't know.
Right. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, even things like know your rights. Like I'm an immigration attorney, right? Like I know immigration law. I'm not a criminal defense attorney, not an expert on some of those issues, but I've had to learn a lot of that stuff this year because I'm dealing with that kind of stuff too, right? So it's just, we're having to learn how to do this job all over again. And like one of my friends recently described, it's trying to find the answers to questions that people shouldn't even be asking because these things shouldn't even be a thing, but they are. So we have to try and figure it out.
Definitely. And to close out this episode, Nathan, what is one thing that you're doing now to take care of your mental health?
Oh, we already talked about that.
Yeah, we did talk a little bit about it.
I think I'm just trying to take care of myself by having as many hobbies and as much personal time as I can reasonably have without screwing my clients.
That's real.
just and it's not even like one thing. I mean, I try and go to the movies, I try and spend more time with my family. Like I was saying, try and go to the gym, try and go on walks. My wife thought it would be a great idea for some reason last year to get a new puppy, even though we already have 2. So I'm trying to get that thing potty trained, but it's a King Charles Cavalier, so it's an idiot and doesn't know how to get potty trained. So it's a struggle.
Idiot though.
Oh yeah. It's definitely a cute idiot, but he's dumb as a sack of rocks. So
that's how we're ending the episode, Nathan. Jesus. But yeah, like Nathan said, if you do need immigration representation, hit up Nathan's law firm located in Fayetteville, over there by Stu's Clean Cooking, right next door.
Yeah, we're their neighbors
in Fayetteville. And then in Rogers, you're in downtown Rogers, huh?
Yeah, we the Banco C building.
Okay.
We're the second floor of that building.
Okay.
There you go. Well, thank you for being here, Nathan.
No,
I
anytime.
appreciate it, and we'll have to have you on again. But I think we're gonna have to have you on and just keep on updated people on like what's going on. Things are changing rapidly.
Yes.
But we appreciate people like you that support community efforts and support the community through doing pro bono work and just being there. So thank you once again.
And
No, thanks so
remember,
much.
Nathan said if you get pulled over by ICE, you can drive away.
He said
I'm just
Disclaimer.
kidding, people.
That was a
he
joke.
quoted The Rock and said, "Shut your mouth." So that's the end of this episode. For everybody listening, this is Irvin
This is Elena, Missouri.
And Miggs.
signing off.